All right, time to look at free response questions here for the AP Calculus test. And we have several different types of free response questions, and year after year, uh, they're very similar. And one type of question that comes up a lot is questions about a graph of f prime or a derivative. Could be f or g or any letter, of course. But we'll be given a graph, and we'll look at a problem here in just a second here. And we want to know some things about the function. You're going to be asked to find some things out about the function. So here's some important tips. These are just things that can help you to approach the problem well once you recognize what type of problem it is. All right. So my first suggestion here, first tip is uh, once you notice that the function, if it's not labeled with f of x or g of x or f prime, label it. All right. So like let's glance at this problem right here. And here we have a problem. We've got a graph, of course, that's the whole idea. And we're told that it's a continuous function g, and the derivative of the function f, sorry, g is the derivative of the function f. So once we're told that, then we want to come right up here and make a note of that. Hey, this is g, which is f prime of x. So we want to kind of note that. Just kind of keep this in our head, all right? So we've got function g, which relates to function f. So this is the derivative of, or the graph of the derivative. So we're told some more things, but once you notice that, label it. Now, sometimes the problem won't even say graph of g. It'll just be a graph, and it'll just be totally blank. You won't get any of this. And you need to go and write in what it is. That'll help keep your head on straight. So label it. The second thing is this, and we kind of just did this. So the description says something like g is a derivative of f of x. Then write g of x equals f prime. Write it below the graph like we just did. All right. So g equals f of x, or in the problem. Sometimes you'll actually get points just for saying g of x is equal to f prime of x. So as that's being described, you just point that out. Helps you keep everything straight. Write it out. Then, third suggestion here, it can help to translate things to number lines. So depending on what the problem's asking, a number line might be helpful. And so here, we have a number line. We've got f prime, and f prime we see is 0 at here. So from like -1 and 0, and this is a difference case, it's actually a 0, I guess we could say there. And then at 4, it's 0. And the derivative is negative to the left of -1. It is positive to between 0 and 4, and it's positive. And we might need to find f double prime. And so remember that would be the slope of this. And so the slope changes at these different points, like at -2, at -1, at 0, at 1, so on and so forth. So, and now in this particular graph, this problem, f double prime, might not make any sense or might not be useful. So, anyways, just remember that sometimes it's going to be helpful to uh, to translate this. And looking at the slope here, the slope is 0. Here the slope is positive. Here the slope is 0. Then here the slope is positive. Here the slope is, again, I'm not sure if this will help for this particular problem, but that number lines can be helpful. So keep that in mind. Don't forget number lines. And then remember that the derivative is the slope of the graph, all right? So it's the slope of the graph, and integrals are areas under the curve. So if we're looking for integrals, we're going to be thinking areas. If we're looking for derivatives, we're going to be thinking slopes when we just kind of talked about slopes there for finding the derivative of the derivative, or f double prime, which in this case, this would also be g prime. Again, not sure if this question is asking about that, but we note that, all right? You might also note this, to take this a step further, since uh, g is equal to f prime, we can say that f of x is the integral of g of x dx. And that's kind of useful to know here, because we could also say that the integral g of x dx from a to b, using the first fundamental theorem of calculus, is going to be f of b minus f of a. So that's an important relationship. And when you get into a problem like this one here, where it's talking about f of 1 and f of negative 5, well, one of these is told to us and one we don't know. And so between 1 and negative 5, well, we can find that integral from the graph. We can find what's going on with g. So we can get that into an equation here by saying, taking this, let's actually go this way. Let's say this guy, we'll take that a and that b, and we'll make that negative 5 and 1. And then that makes this 1 and negative 5. Let's see, 1 and negative 5. Yeah, so there, and we know these things. And so now we have a connection. We can find integrals because we can find areas, and that gives us specific values. All right, so one more quick thing here about how we write these up. So there's some strategies specifically for f prime. Now let's look at a couple quick strategies here for how you write these, and just getting points on the AP test. So when answering a free response question on the AP test, a couple quick important things here. Uh, Remember that the graders are looking for some indication that you understand the big ideas of calculus, all right? So there's lots of points awarded for important parts of the problem. So you try to think of it from the grader or the problem writer's perspective. What are they trying to get you to say? All right, what is the big idea? And so remember that. Then show in words or symbols that you understand a concept. For example, if you're looking for a minimum or maximum, and the question says find a minimum, find a maximum, well, it'd be a good idea just to write down f prime of x equals 0. And that shows that you know what you're looking for. Then go look at the problem and try to find that. Or if we're talking increasing or decreasing, write this expression out. F prime of x is greater than 0 or less than 0. And then go answer it. Sometimes just by writing this, you'll get points, even if you don't go find out the correct answer. But that'll be worth a point. So great way to get points there. And a lot of times we'll be asked for a Riemann sum, or to approximate an integral with a right hand sum or left hand sum or whatever. Write those out. We're saying that an integral is approximately, and we have these width times these values. All right. So then, okay, if we have um, f prime as an initial value, okay, we kind of saw this a moment ago here. If we got f prime at some initial value, well, that's going to show up a lot. That's going to be using the first fundamental theorem of calculus. We're trying to connect an integral to some values here, okay? Maybe we know f of 2, but we're looking for f of 5. Well, we can say the integral of f prime is f of 5 minus f of 2. And so that situation is going to show up a lot like we saw in the previous problem there in that quick example. All right. And so remember the calculator problems, you don't need to write down all the in-between steps. All right. Remember to round those decimals off to 3. And on no calculator questions, you don't have to simplify your expressions. And so don't worry about simplifying. Do not simplify all those expressions. Sometimes you can make mistakes if you simplify. And remember, leave things as fractions, and it shouldn't take a lot of arithmetic. Okay, so as you're practicing, as you're studying, use these scoring guidelines. Notice what you're getting points for. Okay, and study these things, and these will show you how you're getting points for different parts. Okay, so just by saying that, just for writing this integral, you get points. And then if you get the right answer, you get a point. That's the idea here. All right. So, all right, work hard and you can master these things easily. So, good luck.